Hello everybody, what is going on? What is up? I am back with another predictions video for the 2020-2021 NFL postseason, and in this video I'm going to talk about round 2 as far as the NFC playoff picture. I'm going to try and make it as fast as I can, so without further ado, let's get it started. And if in the event or events that you haven't already watched my predictions video for round 2 involving the AFC, check that one out as well. I think you'll like it. First up, the number 5 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to the Louisiana Superdome to take on the number 2 seed New Orleans Saints. And they also happen to be my number 2 all-time favorite NFL team outside of my Chicago Bears. That's neither here nor there, but Tampa Bay, excuse me. Tampa Bay comes into this matchup with an 11-5 record, and they're looking to continue their streak of success. After winning their most recent game against the Washington Redskins, they beat them 31-23. Tom Brady had a big game through the air for Tampa Bay as he threw for 381 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans, he was the top target for the Buccaneers, and he ended up hauling in 6 catches for 119 yards in the victory. Overall, Tampa Bay was solid on the defensive side of the ball, and they managed to hold the Redskins for only 23 points and a total of 375 yards of offense. Carlton Davis, who was a cornerback, and Levante Davis, linebacker, they both led the way for the Tampa Bay defense with a combined 3 pass breakups and 18 tackles. Their secondary had a productive outing for the cornerback position. Jamel Dean, he had 7 tackles, while Sean Murphy-Bunting hauled in an interception. But the New Orleans Saints, on the other hand, they come into this game with a 12-4 record, and they're looking to continue their streak of success after, unsurprisingly, beating the Chicago Bears. They won 21-9, and if anyone said that this was going to be a fight in New Orleans that was going to be too close to call, they were nowhere even close on that one. Drew Brees had a big game through the air for New Orleans, on the other hand, as he connected on 28 of 39 pass attempts for 2 touchdowns and 265 yards. Number 41, Alvin Kamara, he had a big game on the ground for the Saints as he ran for 99 yards and a touchdown on 23 carries. Granted, this was the Bears, I know, but the Saints looked rather impressive on the defensive side of the ball too. They held the Bears only to 9 points, I think, which was a record, and a total of 239 yards of offense. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, defensive back, he led the way for the Saints defense with 8 tackles. The secondary had a productive outing for Marshawn Lattimore, the cornerback. He had 2 pass breakups, while another cornerback in Janoris Jenkins, he had 1 pass breakup and 5 tackles. As you might remember, though, the last encounter between the Buccaneers and the Saints happened in the Shipyard in Tampa Bay. The Saints completely owned the Buccaneers during the regular season. They ended up going 2-0 to start the season off. Actually, no, that game was in Louisiana. I'm sorry. Much later on, that encounter in Tampa Bay would take place where the Buccaneers would get blown out. I got my games mixed up there. I'm sorry, but overall, you know, what's past is past. That's ancient history, and looking forward to the present. Tampa Bay's looked rather good as of recent showing, and you can't count out a Tom Brady-led offense in the playoffs, because Tampa Bay's got one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL with Chris Godwin, Ronald Jones II, and Mike Evans. helping lead the charge. They're going to have a big game against the Saints in order to keep their momentum going and also keep Drew Brees off the field. Tampa Bay's defense, on the other hand, I think they're going to be back at full strength because the last I heard or read, David White, I think he's a nose tackle. He's coming off the injury list, and one of the biggest strengths on Tampa Bay's offense is their front seven. That should try and help shut down Alvin Kamara on the ground, as well as limiting Drew Brees when he's in the pocket and the amount of time that he's got. But at the same time, also keep in mind, it's not just Alvin Kamara that Drew Brees has as far as the offense. He's got Jared Cook at tight end. He's got Latavius Murray and Ty Montgomery at running back. Help Alvin Kamara out. And at wide receiver, he's got Deontay Harris, Michael Thomas, Josh Hill, and Emmanuel Sanders. I keep wanting to throw Traquan Smith into the mix, but he's on injured reserve this year, and I completely forgot about it. I was going to put him on the list, but at the time I got ready to take some notes and record this video, I thought, wait a minute, Traquan Smith's on injured reserve, don't put him there. So I had to replace him with Emmanuel Sanders' name, but overall, Tom Brady, he's a man on a mission with something to prove, and he's out to prove that not only is he still one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, he wants another Super Bowl ring. He wants one as bad as everybody else who's fighting for one, especially in the NFC, because you have the Green Bay Packers, the New Orleans Saints, and the St. Louis Rams. They want a shot at it too, but. This game's rather interesting, mainly because it's future Hall of Famer versus future Hall of Famer, and only one of them is going to come out of the Louisiana Superdome alive. That being said, I'm going with the New Orleans Saints. I predict they win, and they move on to the winner of the Rams and Packers game, which I'm going to get to another few more seconds here. Okay, there we go. Give me a few more seconds. Okay. Next up, the number 6 seed St. Louis Rams traveling to Lambeau Field to take on the number 1 seed Green Bay Packers. I want to say this game takes place on Saturday night. The divisional round of the playoffs kicks off on Saturday afternoon, and I believe that's when the Rams play. The Rams and Packers game, I want to say, is a nighttime game. The Rams have won 10 games during the regular season, which was powered by a defense that led the league in points allowed. About 18 and a half, so let's say 19 points per game. And last Saturday, cornerback Darius Williams scored on a 42-yard interception run to help spark the 30-20 victory against the Seattle Seahawks. In relief of John Wolford, Jared Goff ended up coming off the bench and threw a 15-yard touchdown pass to Robert Woods, which gave Los Angeles the fourth quarter lead of 30-13. I almost said 13-30, so sorry. Cam Akers at running back, on the other hand, he rushed for 131 yards and a touchdown on 28 carries. But going to the Green Bay Packers, though, they're the top seed. They finished the season on a 6-game winning streak, and they finished with an overall record of 13-3. 7 of 8 home games they won, and their only loss ended up coming against the Minnesota Vikings by a score of 28-22. Aaron Rodgers threw for 48 touchdowns and led an offense that finished first in the NFL in scoring at 32 points per game. But in the final game of the regular season, Aaron Rodgers threw for 4 touchdowns to lead Green Bay to a 35-16 victory against my Chicago Bears. Unsurprising. Marquez Valdez-Scantling caught a 72-yard touchdown pass in the second quarter to put the Packers ahead for good, and when that happened, that was, as far as I'm concerned, that was pretty much the end of the game. You know, at that point, I turned off the TV and I was like, the heck with this, I'm going to bed. And that was it. Excuse me. A couple of side notes for this game. David Bakhtiari is going to miss the rest of the postseason after suffering a torn ACL. And Aaron Rodgers has been dominant this year, as we all know, the fine-tuned machine that is the Green Bay Packers. Believe it or not, I'm thinking outside the box on this one. This is the toughest challenge that he's going to face in the Rams. Just because on paper the Packers seem to be the more dominant team and they're at home, that doesn't mean they're invincible. Something tells me the Rams have a couple of tricks up their sleeves. What they're going to be, I have no idea. But here's a couple of other things to keep an eye on. Number one, thumbs up. I know, bad pun in regards to Jared Goff, but pardon the pun, but as far as thumbs up with Jared Goff, he's dealing with a surgically repaired broken thumb on his throwing hand, and he ended up coming in relief of John Wolford this past Saturday, a week removed from thumb surgery. So as far as that goes, he's not at 100% just yet. But you never would have guessed because he completed 9 of 19 passes for 155 yards and got a touchdown out of it. But having a bad thumb and not at 100% in freezing cold weather could be a problem. I mean, just look at Brett Favre, who played with a bad thumb through the 1999-2000 NFL season, and he had the worst season of his career. He would know a thing or two as far as that goes. So if Brett Favre could play with a bad thumb and have a not so great outing, who's to say that Jared Goff can't go through the same thing? I think wide receivers, that'll be my second point. The Rams have two very good wideouts in Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has, as of right now, 92 receptions, 3 touchdowns, and 975 yards, whereas Robert Woods has 90 receptions, 936 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Something tells me Jair Alexander goes to take one of them on, probably Robert Woods. And I think that means Kevin King is going to need to have his A game on Saturday. Put Kevin King on Cooper Kupp and Jair Alexander on Robert Woods, or the other way around. Then we'll see what all unfolds should that matchup happen. Point number 3, as soon as I find it. Here we are. This game is going to be kind of sort of a reunion of sorts for Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. At one point in time, he was the offensive coordinator for the Rams under Sean McVay. I think it was in 2017, 2018, when they went 11-5 and won the NFC West. But since becoming head coach of the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur has not faced the Rams in his 2 years there. So it's going to be as far as the Rams, it's going to be the current head coach versus the former offensive coordinator. So it's going to be quite the dynamic to see what happens as far as that goes. Will the master pull off the victory, or will the student pull off the upset? Something tells me the latter, but I don't know. I'll give my final prediction when that time comes. But another point number 4. Number 99 on the Rams, Aaron Donald. Keep an eye out on him. Not just during the game, but throughout the rest of this week. He's the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. And in the game against the Seattle Seahawks, he suffered a rib injury, and he sat out for the vast majority of the second half of the game. The last I checked, his status for the game was questionable. But for the next couple of days, it's going to be a topic of conversation right up until the game starts. Shutting him down is impossible, but if you can slow him down, that's going to be a critical point for Green Bay. In my opinion, he's the best defensive player in the NFL, and he consistently gets into the backfield and disrupts the offense, and he's as close as the figurative one-man wrecking crew as anyone else there is in the NFL. He's coming into this game again with a rib injury. It could slow him down, but something, knowing the great player and the fighter that he is. He's going to fight through the pain. He's going to continue the Rams' playoff success, and maybe that'll pay dividends in the end as far as the defense goes. But Green Bay's got several options at their disposal when the time comes to slowing down Aaron Donald. One of those many. He was on the practice squad for the Indianapolis Colts, I believe. His name's Jared Veldheer. I think it's pronounced like Vel is in velvet, and then deer is in like the animal, or veld here, like hearing. But yeah, Jared Veldheer of the Indianapolis Colts. He recently signed with Green Bay, and I think Green Bay could probably play Veldheer at left tackle and take a guy by the name of Billy Turner and move him to right guard, and that would help out against Aaron Donald. But the signing of Veldheer probably could have been done to provide depth to an offensive line that already lost David Bakhtiari for the rest of the year. But the key reason why Green Bay was able to sign him was because he was never officially a member of the Indianapolis Colts active roster. So if you're a player on the practice squad, if your team is in the postseason but you're on the practice squad and that team gets eliminated, whomever it may be, and another team needs your help at whatever position it is that you play, you're open season. You're basically an automatic free agent. Someone gets a hold of you and says, "Hey, so and so, we need your help at this position or that position. Would you like to sign the paperwork and become a member of the team?" That's pretty much what happened with Jared Veldheer. Practice squad players are still able to be poached during the playoffs, and players can be signed from an opposing team. From an opposing team's practice squad to the active roster. Because with the Indianapolis Colts, for example, when they got eliminated by Buffalo, Veldheer automatically reverted back to his practice squad status, and that opened the door for Green Bay to offer him a deal on the 53-man roster. But long story short, back on point, regardless of who plays on the offensive line, one weapon that Green Bay has is a guy by the name of Jamal Williams. He can help give that extra pop to Aaron Donald up the middle, and he's the best pass blocker on the Green Bay Packers, especially in the backfield. Now time for the predictions. I think with the Rams, it's going to be too close to call. I don't think the game's only going to be by a score of 1 or 2 points, but on the other hand, I don't see a complete blowout either. But that being said, getting ready for Green Bay, the Rams are practicing for this. They're getting ready. They're studying tape. They're doing whatever it is that they need to do. They're putting in extra time in the gym, extra time on the practice field, watching tape, everything else that you can think of. And that might pay dividends for them going into the game. I'm not really sure, but be that as it may, I think I'm probably the only person who predicts this is going to happen. But I'm thinking an upset. I'm going with an upset here. I'm predicting that the Rams beat Green Bay. If the Rams don't beat Green Bay, they maybe hang within whatever point spread it is that you have them as. I have Green Bay as a favorite at 6.5. I think the Rams can hang within 6, but again, I'm not incorporating the point spread into my predictions because my spread might be different from yours and the other way around. So, that being said, keep an eye out for a recap video after all the games are done. And I'll talk to you guys later. Be well, stay safe, drop a comment, give a thumbs up on the video, continue the shared support on my channel, follow me on Instagram, subscribe to me on YouTube if you haven't already done so, and whatever other available social media platforms that I'm on, you'll see them on my main page where it lists the various links that you can go to. PlayStation Network, Parler, YouTube, the whole nine. And let's see what happens when all the dust settles, when we figure out who goes on to the NFC Championship game and the AFC Championship game. So, in the meantime, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night. And that's really about it. Take it easy.